For those of you that I haven't met yet, my name is Brian Oles, president here at Black Speakers Network, and super excited to be your host for this session. Our Associated Black Charities Board Pipeline Leadership Development Program. This is for 2026. For those who don't know, I actually grew up in Baltimore. I saw firsthand how absolutely critical the roles that nonprofits play when it comes to supporting especially resource-strained communities. In my experience, nonprofits are often the lifeline for people receiving essential services, support, resources, education, and so much more in our community. So I can't say enough about nonprofit work. And in many ways, I feel like they kind of represent this invisible fabric that connects us as a society. And so oftentimes there's a lot of invisible work that goes along with that. But oftentimes I think that individuals supporting in nonprofits and doing the work of sitting on boards sometimes may not always get recognized, but the impact is always felt. And so I definitely want to applaud the Associated Black Charities, definitely Executive Director, my fellow Black Speakers Network member, Chrissy Thornton, as well as Amber, who you'll meet here in a moment. Amber Merrick, the program manager, is doing this incredible work. The fact that we have over 800, or ABC has over 800 alumni who's already gone through this program, I feel like it's just a testament to the program's success overall. And the fact that this is the very first time ever that this program is being rolled out to a national audience, and that Black Speakers Network gets an opportunity to be a part of that is truly special to me. So with that, I'll turn it over to Amber to walk us through the program. And I'll be here in the background like you guys taking notes, and I look forward to seeing you in a few minutes.
Thank you, Brian. Good evening, everyone. And I want to just thank Brian publicly again for setting this all up for us. I came to him and I was like, hey, how do we get this program in front of more people? And he was like, well, let's do an info session. So here we are. So thank you, Brian, for partnering with us on this program. So as Brian said, I'm the program manager here at Associated Black Charities, and the Board Pipeline Leadership Development Training Program, which for the rest of the evening, I'll just be saying Board Pipeline, is a program that I oversee here. And so in 2011, there was actually research done where it really showed that the constituents of nonprofit board work were not reflected in the board, in the actual board. And so we have a lot of people who are making decisions for communities that they can't identify with or they're not a part of. And so the board pipeline program was actually put in place to try to fill that gap. And so what it showed is that there are not people who don't have the skills or don't have the will to work for the communities that they live in, but it was a lack of access and a lack of knowledge. And so it is our duty in this program to equip people with the skills to be able to sit on boards, be well informed about governance, about how they can actually use their transferable skills to have my space heater on. I'm getting a little hot. Use their transferable skills to actually make impact in their board service journey. And so I just want to talk a little bit about the program, and then I'll talk specifically about this virtual nationwide effort that we are working on that will be launching very soon. February is this weekend. And so then I do want to share that we have a couple of stakeholders in the room. We have an executive director from an organization who has benefited from our board pipeline, and we also have a board pipeline alumni. So I do want them to be able to share their firsthand experience with you as well. So like I said, I gave you what the point of the program is, but the things that we touch on are one, why it's important to be Black in doing this work. That is how we start every cohort. And then we talk about how ABC fits into that narrative. Then we talk about board governance, what the roles are, who does what, how you show up, what you actually do and what you actually don't do. And then we talk about the finances. We actually have reserved one whole session for finances because it's super important. Um, a lot of people don't know that board members can be held liable if things don't go right with the finances of the boards on which they sit. And then towards the end, we we do this a couple of different ways. We'll either bring in somebody who has already gone through the program, or we'll bring in people who have a lot of board experience, and we talk about how to navigate board service. Like, what does it look like when you are the only Black person in the room? What does it look like when you're the only woman in the room? And how do you actually navigate the successes and the challenges of sitting at the table? And then what makes our in-person board pipeline program really special is that we have what we call a meet and greet reception at after. And we invite nonprofits to come who might be looking to diversify their boards or just build their boards. And then we have our well, they graduate on that day. And then there is a networking. And so in the past couple of sessions that I've had the pleasure of leading, I've made it like a speed networking where the organizations are set up at tables and there's allotted time for our alumni to get to meet and greet boards that might interest them. One of the other things that we do is we create what's called a lookbook. And so I have, and that's why it's important that I get your resume and the application. And like, I really don't care what you do for work. Like, I'm not judging anybody's resume. Like, oh, she didn't work from this time. Like, that is not what it's for. What it's for is to pull from your experiences and your skills. And then all of those things are combined and we make a profile for you. And so it says, Amber Merrick, this is what she's done. This is what she's good at. This is what she's interested in. And so then when you graduate the program, that's what we share with the organizations. So it's really important to be as detailed as possible and as clear as possible in your application because that is going to represent you at the end of the program. And then we have the organization leaders fill out something that's very similar. It's called a profile, an organizational profile. They fill that out. They tell us what they're looking for, how many seats they have, what their budget is, and then we share that with you. So it's like a swap. And so you get to kind of browse and see if your interests align with any of the organizations who might be in the room. Unfortunately, because we're virtual, we are not going to be having a meet and greet, but we will give you tools. Instead of the meet and greet, we will give you tools on how to find boards that might be aligned with your passion and your skills. I think that that kind of covers it. I feel like I spoke kind of quickly, but I'll turn it over to our stakeholders so they don't have to stay here long. I'll first turn it over to Amy Cavanaugh, who is the executive director of yes, Allison, we can talk about that. I want to get them on so that they can leave, and then I'll answer questions. But yes, Amy Cavanaugh is the executive director of Maryland Art Place here in Baltimore, and she's had the pleasure of taking a couple of our alumni and having them sit on her board. So I would love for her to talk about her experience with some of the people who have come through our program.
Thank you, Amber. It's really nice to be invited here. Um, we had, so I work for Maryland Art Place. I've been the executive director there for almost 15 years. Um, and I heard about this program through the Associated Black Charities through my board chair, Liz Quartermanche. She said, this is a really great program. You've got to check it out. And then was invited to be one of the nonprofits at graduation day, which I will say was really cool to see so many shining faces and smiling faces in that room and so many wonderful candidates there. It was really just very impressive. The whole event was very impressive. So my experience really was just setting up a table for my nonprofit and just putting myself out there. It was wonderful because it put me in a room with people that I may not have otherwise met. And I could have honestly, at the end of my whole experience, ended up taking 3 or 4 candidates for our board. Um, but we did end up with one. Her name is Ritzayana, and she was a perfect fit. We're an arts and culture organization. I would say it was very clear that some people had leanings towards, maybe legal or children or food disparity or whatever. But it was very well organized with the organization setting up around and being able to interact and interview and chat with each of the candidates that had interest in the various organizations. And since then, I will say that RITSA has become a very critical employee. I mean, not employee. I'm sorry, child has become a very important part of our board. So I'm so sorry about that. Um, yeah, so overall, the experience for MAP, which is what we call Maryland Art Place, was really wonderful. Um, yeah, and I don't know, Amber, is there any specific points or topics that you wanted us to hit on outside of that? I feel like because of the pipeline program, Ritza kind of just came in, knew where she was needed, and started to get to work. And maybe without this program, that might not have been the case.
Could I ask a quick follow-up question?
Sure.
I think for maybe the uninitiated, we may have folks here who never sat on a board. I know we have quite a few based on the questions that were asked. Could you just talk about how your board is structured? So, how many people sit on it? How often do you meet? Like, what's the cadence or anything else you think might be beneficial for someone who hasn't sat on a nonprofit board or had that experience before?
Sure, yeah. I mean, I sit on boards. Currently, I sit on two boards, and I will say that all of the boards that I sit on and the one that, I help run here at MAP are all different. My board meets 4 times a year. We ask that our board members be present for a minimum of 3 of the 4 meetings. Showing up is so very important. I know it's hard with schedules and families and kids, but you are making a decision when you join a board. And so that's really important. Outside of that, we have a lot of events, fundraising events. So we ask that each trustee come to at least one of the 2 major fundraising events a year and volunteer their time at the committee level. So that could be helping to raise money, getting people to buy tickets to the event, and in our case, buying artwork even. Financial contributions from trustees range. From board to board. So my board is a 2,500 give or get. So if you don't have the money, we ask you to try to fundraise around that, find sponsorships, or find investment otherwise. For other boards I've been on, there's a zero. There's a zero financial contribution. It's just pure volunteerism. And I think when you're looking at organizations to work with, these are the questions you might want to ask. Is there a financial responsibility? A lot of times I've come across people who are like, I don't believe in, this requirement. And so you definitely want to avoid that if it's not a requirement that you believe in or you don't have the capacity to fulfill. Um, and then I will say outside of that, we also have standing committees of the board. So we have a 20,000 square foot building. We have a building committee. We have a development committee to help with fundraising. We have a governance committee, a finance committee, and a diversity, equity, and inclusion committee. So that would be another thing you might want to ask any nonprofit you're interested in. Is there committee work and how many committees are there? And what does that labor look like in time management?
Yeah, I can almost see the different committees as you were going around. I'm like, oh yeah, building, and I think the way that you described it really gives us an idea of what that expectation or that cadence could be like and how it can differ from organization to organization. Just one other quick question if you had time.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Uh, I just wanted to know, so from your perspective, and you mentioned that you sit on several boards, and so I really want to get your perspective because I would almost call you a super board member if such a title existed. But certainly someone we could learn from. What is your kind of internal drive for being a part of these organizations? I'm sure that certain organizations, and this might factor into how we filter. You gave us some criteria, some questions to think about, but are all the organizations you're a part of, is it like heart-centered work or what's some of the interior drive? We always hear, and I'm part of an organization called Toastmasters, and there we always say people were selected, elected, or kidnapped into service. But regardless, I think it's cool to hear some of the motivations.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think through my job position, I sometimes get, sucked into volunteering maybe more than I have time for, and I'm a bleeding heart, so I'll always say yes. And I would say be very mindful of that because you don't want to, overcommit and not have the bandwidth to do the work. I always say under promise, over deliver, right? As much as possible. Um, so with the other organizations, I would say they're very organizationally aligned with the priorities and mission of my current nonprofit that I run. Um, and so one is the Greater Baltimore Cultural Alliance. I was on their board for many years, 6 years, and I am the chair of the Bromo Arts District Board, which is where our building, yeah, is in. So of course, it's to my organization's benefit to be involved for the A&E district that governs our geography. Um, but if I had more time, I would probably sit on like Barks, which is animal rescue, if I had a choice. And I had more bandwidth and I didn't have children. Um, but yeah, right now my priority in board selection is really based on what benefits my organization and the arts in general, um, which I have martyred myself for.
No, I feel like you're doing great work. So thank you for those two questions. And Amber, thank you so much for inviting Amy. Keep up the great work at MAP and the other. I can't remember all the acronyms, but all the places that you're doing work. And thanks for joining us.
Yeah, no, my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much, Amy. You can teach one of our courses.
Let me
So
know.
the answer to what like Brian's first question and even his second question, we talk about all of that in this. And that is a part of how you know if a good board is the right, like if a board is a good fit for you. You might have time commitment constraints, you might have passions, you might have different skills. And so we talk about all of those different committees and subsets and what that looks like. Even the give get, we talk about all of that throughout the course of the program. So you will definitely get those questions answered as well. Thank you, Amy. And then next up, I wanted to highlight one of our most recent cohort graduates from our Cycle 28, Fall 26 cohort, Miss Mikkola Gomes.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. So I want to first point out the value that I gained from being a part of the most recent cohort last year in 2025. Um, it really helped me hone in on what my personal mission was and helped me to figure out where I would best serve essentially. When I was accepted into the program, I had a board position. And as I moved throughout the program, I had a moment of self discovery where I realized that the position that I held did not align well with my own personal mission. And so it was only fair to resign from my position on that board. And this is not usually what you'll hear the most, but I do have to be transparent and say that one of the most important things I took away from the program was how you're going to serve best when your own personal mission kind of aligns with the mission of the board that you join. So it's imperative to kind of, as Amy mentioned, to be mindful of if you have a bleeding heart, not to just say yes. I was invited to join the board by a long-term friend of mine, someone I went to elementary school with. So of course, my instant response was, sure, I'll do whatever you want me to do. And just realizing that someone else would have been better fit for that position. However, another great thing that came out of the program was at the end, we got a chance to attend a meet and greet. And it's kind of like speed dating, where you go around the room and you talk to different nonprofit organizations. And fortunately for me, I did find an organization that did invite me to become a board member. And that is Disability Rights Maryland. I am the mom of 4 children, 2 of which have disabilities. And so it really, everything just worked out very well. So I look forward to taking the skills that I've learned from the board pipeline program and also other past positions that I've held, being a board member. I look forward to taking that experience with this new position. Um, I also learned as a Black woman how to ensure that our voices are heard. I have served on boards in the past and didn't, I kind of had a suspicion that I was kind of in a token position, so to speak, just to kind of check that box that, hey, we have a minority woman here. And when it came time to voice my opinions and, give input, it's kind of like, okay, we hear you, just to kind of check the boxes. But being with the Associated Black Charities Board Pipeline program helped me learn how to strengthen my voice. So I don't think I'll encounter that moving forward whatsoever. I'm sure I'll be able to properly assert, and represent myself as a Black woman. So yeah, it was a great experience, and I encourage anyone who is thinking about or on the fence about signing up for the program, just go for it. It will definitely be rewarding.
That was
Thank you so
awesome.
much, Mikkola. Do you have questions, Brian?
I have no question. I mean, you can't get no more transparent. Like I'm like, yep. I mean, all the questions I had in my mind, she ticked off. But I just want to say, I'm happy that I kind of see service because I've been the same way. I've overextended myself and I've had to pull back, and I didn't have the benefit of going through a program like this. This is good just for anybody who's just not just going to be in a board position. I think this training is good for anyone who's just going to participate in a nonprofit in any capacity because you're getting an opportunity to see both sides of the house. But what I will say is one of the things I'm most impressed with your particular testimony is the fact that this could be almost like, sometimes people go and maybe you find like a therapist or a healthcare provider or somebody and they do a bad job or you don't have a good experience. You're like, well, I'm never doing therapy again. Well, you may not want to go that hard. Like, you probably just haven't found the best fit. And so I'm so happy that you are open to continuing the process and, using, resources like this to essentially strengthen your overall ability to navigate the space. But no, I have no follow-up questions. That was a great, I appreciate you sharing both sides because it is a real part of the journey, I'm sure, for many people. So thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you
Absolutely,
again.
no problem. Thanks for having me.
Of course. I actually wanted to highlight as she was speaking, I was like, oh, I need to say this, I need to say that, I need to say that. So I want to highlight a few things and then I want to take questions. So the first thing, and I didn't make this clear, you do not need to have prior board experience to be a part of this pipeline. So there are people who have already sat on boards and then they decide to do this cohort because they're like, oh, well, I never had any formal training. They're welcome. And there are people who are like, I don't know what I need, so let me just go see about it. You're also welcome. So you do not have to have any prior training or experience to apply. The other thing is that the interaction between our organizations and our alumni is constant. So it's not just the meet and greet and then we like wipe our hands of you and that's all. Organizations are constantly reaching out to us saying, hey, I need board members. I heard y'all have this cool program. And so we have a monthly newsletter in which those organizations get posted in our newsletter that goes out to our entire board pipeline alumni network, which is over 800 people. So organizations are able to connect even after we're done with like a cohort or the meet and greet has already passed or the meet and greet hasn't come up yet. So you're constantly I'm constantly in communication with our board pipeline alumni. And then the other thing I wanted to highlight, because this is a new initiative to get outside of the Baltimore area, but we've had a lot of people in the Baltimore area really curious and still apply. I do want to say that we are still having our spring cohort that will be in person if you're in the Baltimore area. And so in the chat, I will drop the application for the nationwide cohort, but applications for the spring cohort actually open on Monday, right after the nationwide one closes. So there's still an opportunity if you're in the area, because if you apply for this one, we're just going to defer you to the spring anyway, if you're local. But there's still an opportunity to be a part of this program, so I'll drop both of those links in the chat. And now I guess we can take any questions that anybody has.
Yeah, and I want to make sure that that's clear too. First of all, great job, Amber, and thank you so much for sharing all this information. I know Allison was asking, can we attend the next meet and greet? So I'm assuming that's so basically my understanding is if someone is local, instead of having them go through the virtual national cohort, you would have let's have them wait and go through the Baltimore in-person cohort. Did I get that right?
Yes, and let me be clear. So let's just say you are in, because I've had people registered, let's just say you're in Hagerstown, right? Like coming to Baltimore for 5 weeks in a row is, I wouldn't force you to do that. But if you can come for the meet and greet, that's fabulous because that's one time that we're asking you to come all the way into the city. Um, so yes, if you're local, then we would like if you're in like Pikesville, then it's like, okay, well, you can come in person. I hope that answered your question. Did I answer your question? But if you are not,
It
but if
did.
you're not local and you want to come to the meet and greet, absolutely. I would love for you to be there and meet people in person. Yeah.
That's what I think based on just the comments that Amy had to say and the way you described it and just the general vibes I'm picking up
Yeah.
about how cool it is. I
Hmm.
think several people are probably interested in getting in that room when possible.
Yeah.
So, and by the way, Baltimore, because we're talking about what this is May, this would be or April.
Um, our spring session starts in April.
But I mean, the
The
meet and
meet
greet
and greet will be in May, yes.
in May. That's a beautiful time to come to Baltimore. Drop, drop yes if you agree. Like I mean, you know, if y'all like seafood, I mean, sit outside, eat some
Make a
crab.
little field trip. Oh, that could be so cute.
I'm just
And then one thing that I didn't highlight is the networking. The way that people connect in these cohorts is unbelievable. I've had people who have been in a cohort, they have their own nonprofit, and then they end up pulling their like cohort members to like be on their board after the program is over. So the networking, like if you guys end up doing like a group chat and then like make a field trip to come to the meet and greet, that would be so cute.
now, Amber, why don't you go ahead and drop the link and then for the national, that way, so
Yes.
folks got to go, they'll get that. By the way, I do want to point out that we are going to drop this entire training on the Black Speakers Network YouTube page. So if someone that was not here, first of all, if you want to go back and listen to the replay, it'll be there. So we'll send out an email to the people that registered just so you'll have this link if you need to go back and listen to anything. But if there are folks that you are not in the virtual room that you feel like should have been, then you'll have an easy place to point them to in case they want to join the national or the spring cohort. We have 1 minute left. Angela, you have your hand up. Do you have a question?
Yes, sir. Thank you so very much. This was an excellent meet and greet. I'm glad that I caught it on, I saw the post on Facebook, and immediately I was interested in attending. I have one question. So the training that's on February 24th, 25th, 26th, is that the national one, the
Yes, ma'am.
in-person national one?
The national one is virtual. That's the one that's at the end of February.
Oh, at the end of February.
Hmm. The
That's
24th, the 25th, and 26th.
The
That's
dates
the
that
that's
you
the
national.
mentioned. Yeah.
national one.
But
Okay, is
but you
that
said
the
in person, so I just want to be clear that that one is not in person, it's virtual.
okay, great. So the in-person one is the one that's in the spring. Is
Yes.
that what I'm understanding?
Yes.
Okay,
And we also do a fall. I was mentioning the spring because that's the next one, but
got it.
each year we do a spring and a fall that are in person.
Oh, okay. So, because I was thinking of attending the virtual one, but I wanted to be at the in-person one really because I like the idea of the networking and seeing people face to face and da da da.
Yep.
So, okay, so I'm in Greenbelt, Maryland, so I'm not far at all um, to attend. So the application that I printed, that I clicked on in the Facebook post, is that the one for the virtual one or the one for the spring? I thought you mentioned two different applications.
I think it has to be the virtual one because the spring one hasn't been shared yet. So
Okay.
that's the virtual one. What I did just drop in the chat though is an interest list form. So if
Mm-hmm.
you're interested in the spring cohort list, it's really
Mm-hmm.
simple. It's just your first name, last name, and your email address. And
Oh,
that
okay.
way, when that application is open, I will shoot you an email with the link letting you know it's open.
Oh, okay. Fantastic. Okay. Thank you. And I'm really
Of
looking
course.
forward to connecting with you guys and meeting you in person. Thank you.
Of course.
Yeah,
Thanks for
and
coming out.
come on up 695. I mean, well, technically around 495, up 695 or
I know, right?
295, and then it's 690. Well, you might not have to come to 695. You
I'm
just
coming. I'm coming.
I love that.
See you
Guys,
guys.
guys, we are out of time. Amber, was there anything else that you wanted to share before we close out?
I don't think that I have anything, but I just dropped my email in the chat. So if you have any lingering questions, please feel free to shoot me an email. I would love to answer them for you. I will say that the nationwide applications close on Sunday. So if you're on the fence, you gotta jump. You got a few more days to get that application in. But I'm so glad that everybody found the time to come out and ask your questions. I hope that you got what you were looking for, and I hope to connect with you again soon.
All right. And just to clarify, the application closed Sunday, March 1st is what we're looking at. I mean, I'm trying to jump
February
ahead.
1st.
February 1st. Yes.
Mhm. Yes, February 1st.
I'm trying to speed run this year. Okay. Yes. So please get your applications in. Thank you so much for joining us on behalf of Black Speakers Network, Associated Black Charities. Always appreciate your partnership.